Memorial Day weekend is upon us, and this year, due to the pandemic, wreath laying at veterans' burial grounds will be limited to veterans and their families. Even Arlington National Cemetery is limiting access. Usually they see 3 million visitors, not this year. There seems little that has not been affected by the coronavirus. Joining me this evening to commemorate Memorial Day and share his incredible story and faith is Green Beret, Vietnam veteran, Medal of Honor recipient, and subject of the new book, Blaze of Light. Please welcome Gary Beikirch. Gary, honor to be with you this evening. You enlisted in the Army and thought you discovered your true calling working as an A-team medic with the Green Berets in the remote village of Dak Siang. You worked closely with the indigenous people there who were allies of the United States. Then on April 1st, 1970, your life changed. What happened?
Right. Yeah, it was at that time that our camp came under attack by over 10,000 enemy soldiers. We were surrounded for 30 days. And it was a very devastating attack, but it was even more devastating because during the time that I had lived there, I had found a home. That mountain jungle village had become a home to me. And it had been a place where I'd learned what life was really all about because of the love that was shared between me and that mountain jungle tribe. So it was an attack on my home.
You were hit 3 times. You were hit in the stomach, in the hip, in the back, paralyzed from the waist down, and yet you ordered people in your company to carry you to the other wounded so you could serve them. What propelled you to do that, Gary?
Well, I think what was more important, sir, is what propelled the person that I asked to do that. You see, I didn't really order anybody to do it. It was my 15-year-old Montagnard bodyguard who, over the year, we had developed a tremendous love for one another. And when I was hit the first time, I couldn't move, but I felt somebody picking me up, and it was him. His name was Dale. The love that had developed between the two of us, that's what propelled him to continue to carry me in spite of being shot 2 more times, and in spite of him being shot as well. He still carried me throughout that battle.
You asked Deo, who was this 15-year-old boy, how to teach you to survive, and you say he taught you how to live. What was the lesson?
Yes, I told him that I wanted him to teach me how to survive in the jungle because I was afraid of snakes and tigers that were out there. And he said, I don't want to teach you how to survive. I want to teach you how to live. You see, that jungle tribe, they lived in the jungle. That provided them a life. That's how they gained their sustenance. That's how they were able to live through each day. So he taught me how to look for things that were beneficial, look for things that I could use as a strength, look for things that I could use to build up my life. In the midst of frightening and threatening things, look for those things that you could use in the future as a strength, as a positive influence in your life. It was a great lesson.
Yeah, what a lesson for all of us now during this pandemic. After the attack, you were taken to the 71st Evac Hospital. And one day a chaplain came to your bedside and asked if you would like to pray. How did that experience shape and change your faith?
Actually, I don't think I had any kind of a faith before that, sir. I had become a Green Beret believing that if I wanted anything in my life, I could get it myself. But I say that my courage failed at that time because I was going unconscious, and I thought that I could use everything that the Green Berets had taught me, all the skills that had brought me success. I thought I could use those to keep from dying, to keep from going unconscious, but I couldn't. And that chaplain came there and he asked me if I wanted to pray. And I said to him, I don't know how to pray, sir. I don't even know who to pray to. And he said, that's okay. God knows how to listen. And at 24 years old, I made my first prayer because I was empty. There was nothing left inside of me. There was just a shell of a person. And I said, God, if you're real, I need you. Something happened at that moment, and that there was an awareness, there was a peace, there was a sense that came over me that there was something greater than myself that was real and greater than death, greater than my fear. And not only that, but there was the sense of affection that it cared for me, and it brought an immediate peace to me. I wasn't miraculously healed, although a faith was born at that moment, I knew that there was something greater than myself in life. And it became my mission to find out what is it that's there that's greater than all these things.
After your time in Vietnam, you returned back to a divided America, and you felt the need to drop out of society. For 18 months, you lived in a cave in New Hampshire. Why, and what did you learn living in that solitude?
Well, like many that came back from Vietnam at that time, I came back hoping that I could find some peace and find some healing, but instead, like many, I found just anger and hurt. And so I went to this cave believing that forgetting was getting better. If I could just forget about Vietnam, if I could just forget about all the experiences in my homecoming, I would get better. And I was hoping that in that cave, I could forget. But I learned that forgetting is not getting better. I learned that in that cave about what Deo had taught me, about learning how to live. And I really began to pray a lot about a saying that we had in Vietnam that was, to really live, you must almost die. To those that fight for it, life has a meaning the protected will never know. And I fought in Vietnam, I almost died, and I fought in that cave because I wanted to learn what life was really all about. And I learned that forgetting is not getting better. I was looking for healing, but healing was not going to come by forgetting. Healing came when finding someone who loves you, finding someone that cares for you, finding someone that's willing to come into your cave, and no matter what they find, they'll never ever leave you. And it was while I was in that cave that God's love came into my life.
Sir, in 1973, you received the Medal of Honor.
Yes.
You've since become the chaplain to the Medal of Honor Society. You work closely with the members. One of those members recently passed away, Ronald Schur. He was a Green Beret medic. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for aiding the wounded during a 6-hour firefight in Afghanistan in 2008. He died just this last Thursday of lung cancer. He was only 41 years old. How did you comfort he and his family?
Well, Ron and I had an immediate bond. I was at his ceremony. And one of the things that I discovered right away is that not only was Ron awarded the Medal of Honor because of what he did that day in Afghanistan, but Ron was awarded the Medal of Honor because of who he was as a person, of who he was as a father, of who he was as a husband. And one of the things about the Medal of Honor is that in that cave, I learned that the Medal of Honor is really not about any one person. The Medal of Honor is about a message that says that there's a different way to live your life, and that is caring for others more than yourself. My part in being with them to comfort them was really nothing more than just a ministry of presence, of being there and affirming for them what they already knew was true, and that love is eternal.
In the new biography, Blaze of Light, which chronicles your life while serving in Vietnam and how you overcame those challenges, you write this about the Medal of Honor. The medal is not about me. This medal is about him. Without God's grace, I wouldn't have been able to survive Vietnam. Without his forgiveness in my life, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself. This medal is ultimately about him, and I wear it for his honor. Do you think Americans recognize the depth of sacrifice, the high cost of the liberties they enjoy?
I think at times there are events that happen that let people know that there's something greater going on in this world than just themselves, whether that's 9/11, whether that's COVID-19. But every once in a while, something will happen that individuals will realize that I can't control everything, that there's something happening in this life that's beyond me. And maybe there's some need for something that's greater than me. And I believe what that is, that's what Jesus talks about in John 15:13. He says that, and which is a quote that's commonly used on Memorial Day, that greater love has no man than this, the man laid down his life for his friends. And I mentioned that quote before, that to really live you must almost die. To those that fight for it, life has a meaning the protected will never know. What that meaning is that there's a greater love that exists. There's a greater love that exists for us to experience. And so many of us believe that love can be achieved by more money, by greater cars, by nicer things. But Jesus says that there's a greater love that needs to be experienced. And I think Memorial Day is a time for all of us to reflect on the fact that there is something greater in this life. There's something greater, and it's a greater love that can be achieved as one realizes that caring for others, loving others more than yourself, is the pathway, the doorway to experience what the greater love is all about. Greater than any possessions you have, greater than any other person that's in your life. There's a greater love that comes with caring for someone more than yourself.
Well, I thank you, sir, for your service, for your witness, and for being with us today. And we certainly remember all those souls who defended our rights and protected our liberties on this Memorial Day weekend. Blaze of Light, the inspiring true story of Green Beret medic Gary Beikirch, Medal of Honor recipient. Gary, thank you for being here. The book is available everywhere and online.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for all that you do.